dense forests take turns with open pastures. The next stop of the train is the station Eisfelder Talmühle. Nowadays, the station building houses a country inn with bed and breakfast. The station was opened on the 15th of September 1898 by the former railway company called Nordhausen-Wernigerode Eisenbahngesellschaft. It is here where the Harz-Querbahn and the Selketalbahn meet. Our 99-234 must change its position, and it will also replenish its supplies at the same time. We all know that traveling makes hungry, and so the passengers will have a little nosh. The points are all manually operated. It was our conductor's job to do this, while the engine is still being replenished with water. The train now travels on with the bunker of the loco ahead, but this does not affect the train's speed. The top speed of this locomotive being a maximum of 40 kilometers per hour either way. The rail network of the Selketalbahn has a length of 61 kilometers. It goes from Quedlinburg in the lower Harz to Eisfelder Talmühle. The first section of it was commissioned in August 1887. It was the first narrow-gauge railway line in the Harz Mountains. But the 10-wheelers usually used here were not the typical locomotives on this line.
Die Mallet-Lokomotiven sind typisch gewesen hier eigentlich immer für die Harz-Querbahn.
These mallet locomotives were once typical of the Harz-Querbahn lines, but in the middle of the 1950s they were transferred to the Selketal line because we then received the big newly built locos, our present Mount Brocken engines. So that is why the mallets were pushed aside and had to go to the Selketal line. They even became a synonym for the Selketal line, but now they are only used for special tasks, the only exception being the mallet locomotive 5906, which still can be seen on scheduled traffic on the Selketal line. We have now reached Stiege station. It is here where we can change our direction of travel, but this time the engine remains in its position. The train runs over a big terminal loop to turn the train into the new direction. One could think it is like being on a garden railway. The radius of the loop is 60 meters. It was originally installed for coal trains, which ran here in the 1980s. Before we travel on to Quedlinburg, a rail car on regular schedule is allowed to overtake the special train. We both head for the same place, but the rail car is a little faster. We take the rail car in order to arrive earlier and will now show you some pictures of this town, which belongs to the UNESCO World Heritage. In the historic town center, the half-timbered houses prevail. The landmark is St. Nikolai Church. All buildings enjoy the special protection of historical monuments. The oldest of them were built around the year 1530. At the market square are the town hall, in Renaissance style, and also the statue of Roland. Between 1990 and 2010, the town of Quedlinburg received more than 120 million euros from several promotional funds. These funds made it possible to redevelop more than 650 buildings in a professional way. Quedlinburg was granted the right of township as early as 994. A must for visitors is the Palace Museum, the Klopstockhaus, or the Museum for Half-Timbered Houses, where the history of house building in Quedlinburg is explained. In the meantime, the train has begun to move again and now rolls down into the valley towards the next stop. Everybody on the train is in a good mood. They all enjoy the lovely weather in the open observation car. All the stopping places on the line look rather sleepy. It is difficult for the railway in this region to compete with the splendid network of roads, but it is a clear declaration of political intent to offer a publicly financed public transport system. We now pass the Silberhütte train stop, which has certainly seen better times in the past. The structural change has left its traces here as well. Our next halt is Alexisbad station. This station was opened as early as 1888. But nowadays it is unfortunately not a very nice place to look at. And here we must change the direction of travel again. For this purpose the locomotive was coupled to the other end of the train. We will take the opportunity to interview some of our passengers. I think it was a very pleasant journey. It was well organized. There was much of the lovely smell of steam. It was simply superb. The last steam locomotive in Holland ran in 1958, I think. I had just been born, so I came too late for it. I worked in a power plant, so I had much to do with steam because it was a hard coal-fired power plant. This too is a kind of energy conversion. Here it is the conversion to movement. In a power plant it is electricity, which is based on coal. But both technologies and their interactions are fascinating to watch indeed. As so often, the original fuels the desire for an appropriate model of it, and the fans of LGB are no exception. One of the first big steam locomotive models which LGB made was 996001, which we saw in the depot yesterday. The big bestseller made by LGB, at least in my humble opinion, is the Harz Mountain loco with its wheel arrangement of 050. which is made in many different versions. One of these pulled the train we traveled on today. During this journey I traveled on many narrow-gauge trains. The weather was good, of course, and the event was well organized again. Unfortunately, I do not own any LGB models, but I've been a Märklin fan for many years now, and I think this is all right too. And are you railway modelers too? Yes, a garden railway, but the subject is RHB. And what is your task with the garden railway? The plants and the care of the rails and the environment. And who usually runs the trains? I do. But Alexisbad is also famous for a very special spectacle. Here in Alexisbad you could see the famous dual departure of trains, not precisely at the same time though, but at 11:44 and 11:46. Two trains ran in parallel for some 100 meters. During the visits to my grandmother in Thuringia, I came here quite often, and then I tried to make arrangement for a dual departure at exactly the same time. It usually worked, because I bribed the engine drivers with some cigarettes or some bananas, and oh wonder, both trains left the station at exactly the same time. The advantage here in Alexisbad was, it was not so much tourist traffic as on the Harzbahn line. The situation here was much more intimate. The spectacular dual departure is now imminent. These are fantastic moments, and the pictures taken are a pleasure to look at. This is a fantastic day in September, not too hot, but sunny, and we had the chance to sit in an open observation car pulled by a steam locomotive. It was smashing.
Das war toll, sagt er.